So this is to finish your Beaks of the Finch lab. Questions 10, 11, and 12 require the use of this diagram. So I just want to spend a minute explaining the diagram so that you can complete your questions for your write-up. So this diagram is supposed to represent some of the different finch species found on the Galapagos Islands. So we're no longer talking about the different tools that we're using, but rather for 10 and 11 and 12, we're focusing on and looking at the different finches shown in the diagram. What the diagram does is it starts on the outside and it shows you a finch type on the outside. And then as you travel sort of in from the diagram, it shows you different characteristics of the finch type. So on the inside is the food. Then in the middle rings, it shows you what type of bill it has and then how it's using that bill. Okay, so if we look and you want to know the characteristics for a particular finch, basically all you have to do is start on the diagram at your finch and then look at basically everything that that finch intersects as you would travel from that finch to the interior towards the center of the circle. Okay, so if we're looking at the warbler finch shown down here on the bottom, okay, we want to know the food type of the warbler finch. You got to look from the warbler finch in to the type of food that the warbler finch is eating. In this case, it says 100% animal food. All right, now that doesn't mean that it's eating hamburgers. Realize that would mean that it's eating insects. Okay, how's the warbler finch using its beak? Okay, well, so it says it has a probing type beak. Right, so do the cactus and the woodpecker finches are all probing beaks. And then, whereas the cactus finch might be crushing seeds and the woodpecker finch would be biting with the tip, the warbler finch is going to probe with its bill or reach into small spaces. And so you can see where this diagram contains a lot of information, and you're going to be able to use it to analyze different features of the finches. So as we look at numbers 10, 11, and 12, okay, just real quickly, number 10 is asking you if there were some changes in the environment, which finch would be preferred, and you should basically pay attention to the food types. Okay, you're looking for something that eats seeds, and the size of the finches. Okay, number 11 has an A, B, and C. You have two particular finches that you're going to be looking at, two types that are listed. So you need to examine those two types and their characteristics, and then propose how they might interact with one another through A, B, and C. How could they live together? Would they compete? And then if another one came in for C, which one or both would be affected by the migration? Okay, make sure you're getting specific there. And then number 12 is asking about how an island could support two different types. So you need to look at what they're eating and the sizes, eat plus size, and propose how they could live together without competing. And then 12B, this is the hardest one. You need to talk about the materials that we used in the lab, okay, so our beak type, and design an experiment to prove A. Okay, so an experiment, a setup that you would use to prove A. Okay, your answer for A. If you have any questions, I can try to help you out in your next lab class. This diagram does make a bunch of appearances every once in a while on the Regents exam, so make sure that you understand how to find the characteristics for the different finches, what they eat, how they're using their bill, and be able to determine whether they're competing with one another or not as they follow those lifestyle habits.